Uh, Recording progress. Okay, welcome to International Banking Payments 2. In our previous section, we have seen high level what is the international payments, how it is working at the high level. We have seen, we'll just run through the again the high level basics. Here, we have seen one sample scenario. One person from Washington, he is sending fund to India, and these two are individual person. It can be a corporate to corporate also, but not a financial institution. So customer to customer. So sender usually called the sender or ordering customer or remitter. So these three are refers to the same person. And the ordering customer, he is having account with Wells Fargo Bank in Washington. He want to send money to Citibank, Chennai. So the assumption is Wells Fargo and Citibank Chennai both are having a relationship in INR. So because this person is sending money in INR, Wells Fargo identifies these both having the existing relationship, these banks, both having a master account within them. So they can directly talk to each other. And if the sender is sending a money, then the instruction reaches to Wells Fargo, which is nothing but ordering institution here. And then in this place, customer account is debited and money is sent to Citibank, uh, which is account with institution, where the beneficiary is having the account, that is called account with institution. Uh, and that amount is credited to the beneficiary account. This we have seen in our previous slide, and then now we'll go to the next slide. In FlexCube, how this is performed is what we are going to see here. Basically, this is comes under FT module. Sorry, I'll just pause here. So in FlexCube module, this international payments in 11.2 version until 14.x, it comes under module fund transfer, FT module. To start with FT module, in the FT module, any transaction has to be booked under product. So here, what is product? Product is nothing but a template of collection of events, accounting entries, and advices. So in a nutshell, it's a template when you select underlying accounting entries where customers has to be debited, what is the charge, everything is predefined under one particular product. That is how the product is configured. So here I'm just showing you the FlexCube application screen, and in that uh, top right you can see just drop. See here you can see the screen name. The screen name, if you put and enter, the screen will pop up. Here you will see the product code and product description. Here I just taken the existing product. I'll just run through what are the basic components. Vasant, if you have any doubt, you can stop in between. Okay, then I'll answer it. Okay. Vasant, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. This product code, this is actually 4-digit product code. It cannot be less than 4 digit and more than 4 digit. It is always 4 digit. You can define your own name, but it has to be unique across the FlexCube. The same product code, you cannot use it for any other module or within the same module also. This is unique across the product, across the FlexCube product. Okay. And this is the description. And this product type, it has three types basically: outgoing, incoming, or book transfer. Outgoing, which is going outside the bank. Incoming, which is coming out from outside the bank to our bank. Internal, within the bank. Outside, it can be a domestic or it can be a international. Domestic payments usually supported by the PC module, payments and collection module. Some countries like UAE and Qatar, Kuwait and all, local payments still supports under FT module only because they also use MT message. So the local payments are supported in the FT module itself. And then this again this product type description is comes over here. That is system sorry factor shift and slogan that we can create our own thing. And product group is again bank. All outgoing product are categorized with one particular product group. And this is the start date. After this date only, any transaction can be booked kind of thing. Suppose if I want to launch out a product and it has to be used from next month, I can put a start date as 1st of February 2025 so that nobody can use the product until that. If I put an end date, beyond the date, nobody can use that product. So it says the product validity. If I leave the end date as blank, which means there is no end date, as long as the application is there, we can use it. We should always put the start date. Here we have, I'm saying an example, 1900, which is like the application itself launched in 2010. So if I put this one, which means it was there forever kind of thing. Okay. This is the first slide, and in the bottom, we have many things like accounting roles, events. We'll see in the subsequent slides. Accounting roles is where you give the mapping, where you want to collect the charges. So if you want to collect the charges, then where it has to be credited, and for the charges you will be collecting the VAT tax. So the tax where it has to go and credit that high level mapping on which GL has to be configured. That again I will show it in the subsequent slide. And then events, when you are booking a contract, there are multiple events: book event, unit event, liquidation, reversal. When I say book event, just I'm accepting the contract, but I'm not. There is an option like I'll accept the contract, but I will pass the accounting entries next day, like pay later kind of thing. If you would have seen your online banking, I hope you all understand. Pay letter is like I will initiate today, but contract will debited account my account will be debited tomorrow and or as on that date, and then our outgoing message will go. So that kind of different events are there. That's why the book event is there where it just accept it, and init event where it initiates, and liquidate event is performing the liquidation entries like crediting to the customer, crediting to the beneficiary, kind of thing. And then reversal in case if you don't want the transaction after some time, then you can reverse it. That is supported. Under the each event, what kind of accounting entries to be passed, that also can be defined, and any advices, any message generation, that is all defined in the events. So these two are related to the accounting events. And this one, branch and currency, in case if I want to restrict this particular product for only one branch, or it should not be used by one particular branch, I can give the restriction. And if I want to give a restriction like this particular product has to be used only for certain currencies, only USD, Euro, GBP only has to be used. So that kind of restrictions can be given. And here, if I want to restrict the product for particular customers only, or some customers should not use this product. Let us take in India case, like I don't want to give this international payments for a students category, then we can restrict over here. And the preference, this is in the general, like what kind of are we supporting a future dated, backdated contracts are supported, and any rekey mechanism like maker checker event, and then any exchange rate maximum threshold. So those things and all will be there. That will when I go to the preference screen, I will tell in detail. Charges, whenever this contract is getting initiated, and what are the different type of charges to be applied, that is associated here. And for the each charge, what is the tax that is linked over here. And this is MIS, miscellaneous information system, where each contract can be categorized under particular for reporting purpose. This is mainly for reporting purpose, nothing else. So if I'm booking a contract, how many contracts booked from this particular MAS or business group? So for that kind of activity. This fields is again nothing but another subsystem in FlexCube. You can configure and you can attach in any application you will have predefined system given 10 fields. If bank wants to introduce another 11th field as a configuration, we are giving it. Again, that this also we will see in detail, but not in this session. We will see it in some other session. This is also is optional. If bank wants to introduce a new field to additionally capture some information about the payment, that can be captured over there without any code changes. So for that purpose, the fields are there. This is called UDF. Here we are given with the name fields. You have any doubt? I know you will have a lot of doubts, but anything you want to clarify before going next, Vasant?
Okay, sir.
Okay, right. So again, I just stated product code is 4-digit code, alphanumeric. It has to be unique across the Flexcube application. Product type, we there are three things: outgoing, internal, and inward. Inward. Outgoing is outside the bank. Inward is coming from other bank to our bank. Internal is within the bank. Account to account, beneficiary and remitter both are in the same bank, kind of. Okay. And then product group, outward also I might have for many products. So those are all will categorize under one particular product group. Here we have subscreens that we will see in the subsequent screen. And then we'll go to the next screen, accounting roles. Sorry. Okay. Here we would have seen the first thing accounting entries, accounting roles. That and as I told you, like here we will give the GL mapping. Here for the charges, we'll say which GL has to be credited, which GL has to be used for credit, whether it is credit or debit, that is mentioned in the event one. So first here we call it as accounting role to head mapping, we call it. Here we see the product code, because it's open under that product, it will show what is the product code. And then here this is called accounting roles. I will see where how it is getting used in the next one. And this is where the GL is linked. So this role code and GL code linkage happens over here. This is a soft linkage. Uh, After some days, if I change this, whatever the new contracts booked under that particular product, it will use the new GL. So existing GLs will not be changed. So this is the one common thing. So first three, this particular product has three charges. So for each charge, there's a separate VAT tax component. So each charge is credited to you. You look at this. Each charge are going to the different GLs, but all VAT are going to the same GL because it has this has to go to the government. But charges, sorry, sorry, yeah. All tax entries are going to the common because this has to go to the government, so there is no difference. But income GL are recognized into different GLs. I'll tell you what are the charges that we have for this particular sample product. Then we'll go to the next thing. Okay. Okay. The next thing is the accounting entries. First, you have seen the accounting entry role mapping, and then second thing in the product screen, what we see is events. So when we go out to the events, we will get this particular in the back end and just seeing right. This will come under each event. We can define the accounting entries. This particular product, we have defined the accounting entries in the init event, initiation event. So if I click this particular checkbox and if I click first this is checked and then ensure only this is checked, and then if I click this button and the screen gets open. Okay, the screen gets open. Here it is a little confusing over here, but at the end of the session you might get the complete picture to some extent. I'll try to explain you in a very better way. So first thing, it starts with the remitter and beneficiary. So remitter, as I said, this is the debit customer. Beneficiary is the receiver. So so I put the accounting role. This is what its system is internally will derive it. Here, when I say remitter, system has the Flexcube has the coding to use the debit account to post the accounting entry. For beneficiary, it will use the beneficiary account. In this case, it will be Nostro account. Whatever the Nostro account, that will get credited. And then this is against the system defined accounting role code. Whenever you go to the screen, you will get an LOV. You have to select accordingly. We should not change the amount tag for the purpose. For outgoing, remitter is always amount equivalent and beneficiary is always TA for amount. This should not be changed, okay? Because there are some hard-coded programming is there. No, based on that only it is done. So those things you will come to know once you start working in the product. And this you keep it as a template. You can see it in the fund transfer module. Of Flexcube user manual also. Okay, so I don't want to go much detail into that. Just to make sure that any product is having this kind of thing. For outgoing, remitter is always amount equivalent, debit, and beneficiary is always TR for amount and credit. And this is the transaction code. It has the description like international payments like that. It will come because whenever your customer takes a statement, he will see amount is debited with the description of international payments. And this option is called netting. Suppose because whenever this particular transaction at the time of initiation event itself, you see I have all these events. The same remitter is getting used in the charge account, these places. Because same in this one we have seen three charges are there, right? So all three charges and three VAT can be debited in the same customer account. Whether you want to put all together single debit or multiple debit, that is what is called netting. So this also you will come to know during the next level of when you get the hands-on, you will get more information. But just I'm highlighting here. This you can use it as a reference. In future, again, I will say I will show one sample accounting entry in the bottom. There you will get some more clarity. Okay. And this is it with respect to accounting events. The next we will see the advices because the same event, any advice because here I have debited the customer. So for the debit customer, I have to give the debit notification, right? So that will be there. And for beneficiary, I have to give the credit notification. So those advices are maintained over there. Okay, that we'll see in the next. Uh, okay. Yeah, as I told you, like in my previous case, we have debited the customer, and then in this place, I can associate any credit advice, debit advice things in the same init event. If I go to the advices, you will here we have an option. This is called a payment message. As I told you, this is MT103 message. In FlexCube, if I attach the payment message, based on the nature of customer to customer or bank to bank, system will derive whether it is MT103 or 203. No need to specifically say it is 103 or 202 because the moment you say payment message, this is related to Swift. System will derive whether it is 103 or 202 and when it has to be generated during the maker time itself or after the authorization that has to be there because in the Flexcube timing, somebody will once you give the instruction to the bank, there is one in first person will do the maker part and then second person will authorize that by seeing the customer instruction whether the same customer instruction is what inputted in the system. You will see and authorize. After that only system has to generate the payment. So here we have an option whether to generate during the authorized time or maker time and whether to be suppressed or not. Suppressed meaning like even though attach it in future, if for 5 days, if I say I don't want to generate this, I can come and say suppress yes, which means contract will get booked, but no outgoing message will go. And what is the priority? Priority can be set. That is for once the message is generated here, there is another system called EMS which performs handoff to the outside world. That will happen based on the priority set over here. Usually, you can set a high priority because these are customer payments. It has to go immediately. Other things like debit advice, credit advice can be set as low priority. That can be that is not such. It's again critical, but that is not such critical. So that again you can set. And then here you can say any charges associated with the with this particular advice. So that also you can mention over here. Usually we will not come across this charges on the events advices. It is very uncommon. So you will not face this functionality much in any of your banking. Okay. And was there any doubt at this point?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. No, I'll again run through. If you have any doubt at the end, also you can ask. Okay, or you
Okay,
can
sir.
ask me in chatting. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And again, I'll just come through what we covered. So we have covered accounting roles and events. I am not going to the branch currency and customer. As I told you, branch currency is like if I want to restrict to particular branch and currencies I can give, and the customer also same like customer categories are in any particular customer should not be used. So I'm not going into the detail. Now directly we'll go to the preference screen. This is one of the main critical area because this gives the option to the bank, what are the features available inside this product. So here only I'm saying that this is customer transfer or bank transfer. Based on this only, the advice when there we set a payment message. So payment message, whether it is 103 or 203 is decided based on this, whether it is a customer transfer or bank transfer. Based on that, system also performs. Whenever you initiate a contract, if it is set bank transfer and if you are using individual customer, it will not allow. If you selected a customer transfer and if you are trying to debit NAS token bank account, it will not allow because you are not using the proper account. It will say. Here, back validated payment message you want to suppress or not, that is there. And in MT10, there is one thing called MT102, where I can debit one customer and I can credit to multiple beneficiary, whether that is there or not. Generally, this is not used, so you can ignore it. And in case of cross currency, let's say I'm debiting my INR, but I'm sending an USD payment. So, what is the exchange rate to be used? And what is the spread value? Spread value like this is for the again for the exchange rate. What is the spread to be used? And the rate as of as I told, like if I'm initiating a pay later thing, so exchange rate might differ today and tomorrow. Let's say if I'm initiating the transaction now, but getting debited tomorrow, then when which exchange rate to be used at the time of debit value date or at the time of booking? So that can be mentioned over here. In general, it's always used for the debit value date. and this message, even after that, the advice has to be generated. When this has to be done, because I can always create a transaction, uh, debit today is 25th January, and credit can be done 27th January. Like that I can give. So debit today itself, but send the credit after 2 days. So I will debit the contract and debit the customer account and put the amount in the sendary account. On 27th Jan, credit leg will happen. And that time message can be generated. So that kind of thing I can set over here. Usually it all goes on the same day, whether even if it is 27th January credit date, it will messages will generate with 27th value date in the message. So there is no, you will not see much lagging. That functionality is there in the banking practices, but it is very uncommon. Like you will not feel, you will not come across in your thing, or whenever you come across, you just remember, and then you will see more details in your Flexcube user manual also. Okay. And here, rather in MT103 itself, there is another option called advanced version MT103 plus. Whether it has to generate MT103 or 103 plus. The difference is 103 and 103 plus is to support STP, straight through processing. Instead of giving the common thing, it will give precise information in 103 plus. So that is why it is there. Cover record, in case if I am sending money through other bank, correspondent bank, whether you want to generate the cover message, that is there. This is the remit message, again the payment message only. And then 102 plus, in case of multi credit, whether to generate 102 plus. This is not for outward, this is for inward only. Whether to generate STP contracts in hold status, whether that is different thing. For inward contracts, here we are discussing about only outward. As of now. And then payment related, this is always set as message. Instrument nowadays we are not using it. And this is not a clearing product, so no need to worry. And this also you will not come across, we are not using this much. But for the information purpose, whether you want to generate a message before posting the accounting entry, that kind of scenario, and allow after rate refresh, like exchange rate after exchange rate refresh only, this next this contract has to be debited, such kind of things. And these are all specific to particular bank. This is not very common thing. And I don't need to give much more information because this is particular to this particular bank. And then this one, rate variance. In case if you are using the cross currency transaction INR to USD, the common exchange rate is 82. Let's say 82 is the bank exchange rate, but system will allow you to use 81. Here the exchange rate variance is there. That 1 rupee variance is there, which is around we can say 1%. Correct. So this is the percentage. Up to 3% it will allow with override. If it is going beyond 3%, then system will ask for a checker to authorize, or it will, and then if it goes beyond 50%, like 50%, instead of 82, if you are using 40, then system will stop it. So up to 41, system will allow it. So that is the one thing. So you have to be very careful whenever you are using for international fund transfer. This is very vague actually. It should be within 10% or within 5%. This is again up to the bank practices. Whether to give 50% or 10%. 50% is not a good, it can be 10%. And it all depends on the bank decision. And again, this preference screen has much more information. So that's why I'm taking you to the next slide. The same thing, if I scroll down, here I will get all this. Already we have seen the maximum limit and done. Now we will see the other things. if I say split DRC or liquidation, in case if I have to debit today, but send the message, post the credit leg after 2 days. So that time the funds will be parked, and then after 2 days only credit leg will happen. Like money will go to the other bank, message will go to the other bank. Whether to allow future validated and cross currency transactions, these things are here. Whether INR to USD, whether should be allowed or not, or INR to INR only, or USD to USD only, that validation is there. And then this one, like I can, as I told you, right, like I can give the instruction. Today is 25th January, I can give the instruction with the 27th January value date, whether to accept or not, that is there. And then here, by default, what is the option? Whenever you are initiating the contract, there are some charges. Either we can share the charges, or we can pay customer, remitter can pay all the charges, or beneficiary may pay all the charges. You would have seen in some courier scenario, or earlier money order scenario, sometimes they send a full amount. Whatever the charges, beneficiary might have to pay, like a postal. If you are sending a cover without stamp, then the beneficiary has to pay the charges and receive it, or sender itself can post the pay the charges for the stamp and send it, so the beneficiary no need to pay any charges. Sometimes uh, instead of 10 rupee stamp, if I put only 5 rupee, then postman will ask 5 rupee from the receiver of the letter. So it's that kind of nature. Whether charges has to be paid by the remitter or beneficiary or both. So that is there. And this is like, to validate the beneficiary name. A beneficiary IBAN is something like, in India we are not using, but most of the countries have come up with a unique number for the across the world. That will identify which bank and which branch he is having account. So only with one number we can identify the which is a unique number, and we can identify which bank they are having account. Everything will come over there. So that is IBAN. Whether to input the IBAN number or not, that validation can be done over here. And this is a re-key. Whenever this kind of transaction initiated from FlexCube front end, and maker checker, the checker, we can enforce. If I say transfer amount currency has to be rekeyed, the checker, when the checker is trying to authorize, system will enforce the user to key in the what is the currency and what is the amount, just to ensure that make checker is authorizing the correct contract. So that validation we can put over here. And then here we have another option called debit value, back value check is required or not. And if you say yes, then how many days we can allow. Back validated contract, whether to be allowed or not. Similarly, credit back validated, whether to allow or not. This is like, if when I book from Flexcube front end, sometimes during the month end, customer would have given 1,000 instructions, but we don't have a strength to initiate all 1,000 transactions. We would have processed only 500, and we process next day. But the next day we cannot process. We have to process with the same the previous value date. So that time this kind of validations will work. Sometimes system will not allow to in this particular product. It will not allow to book with the back value data. It has to be booked with the same value date only. And then here this is another case where let's say one customer has gone on instruction. By mistake, it has reached to two different person due to the system issue or whatever thing. If both are initiating at the same different timing, then we can give a duplicate recognition to identify, to give a warning to the user saying this kind of contract is already exist. So what are the combinations to be checked, that can be mentioned over here. Again, further more preferences there. I'm not going into the much detail because it is not much relevant as of now or in this training. So I'm just skipping it. Okay. Next thing is the charges and VAT. I told you, right, in the product screen in the bottom, we have the charges. So this particular product is having a look at this. If I click the charges button, then this particular subscreen will open. This is the product code, and this is the charge component. This is defined outside this FT product. This is not defined over here. This is defined in a separate screen, charge class. So there only it is defined. And then here we are attaching in which event this has to be attached and what is the rule. This rule also is defined outside. And this is again linked to what is the basis on the transfer amount. This is the remitter amount. If you remember, this is the remitter amount. And what is the charge currency? Because in the charge rule, the amount is mentioned, and what is the amount that is mentioned over here? This is always the local, mainly local currency will be there. And this is the component. Under this component only, this is linked. And these are the options to say whether at the time of booking the contract, whether the charges can be amended or not. Once this is attached, we cannot remove, but you can say stop application. Let's say after some time, bank has decided not to charge the customer, then we can give stop application enable, then it will not apply the charges, but this will be there in the product only because for initially you applied and after that if you delete it and then where any investigation happens in the future, then that will be a problem like it was not associated. Still there is a audit trail, but this is the soft delinking. So the stop application after some time, if I don't want to apply this particular charge component, I can unlock the product and enable it. From that time onwards, whatever contracts booked, the charge will not apply. And for this, what is the accounting entry? Everything is there in the events tab. And for this for these charges, what is the underlying VAT component? That after the charges, there is another button called the tax. If we click that, then we will get this tax details. So here, sorry. Here, if you look at this charge component, for this component, this is the VAT. So this is the tax component. This is what used as an amount tag in there, and what is the event, and what is the type of tax. So this is there, and this tax rule is defined again in another screen. That tax rule will have what is the percentage of tax on the basis amount. So that is how it works. Okay. So whenever the contract is booked, this charge is applied based on the transfer amount. Here there are rules whether it is a fixed charge amount or based on the transaction amount. Let's say 1 to 100,000, one fixed one amount of 100,000 to 200,000, another charge. So like that rules are maintained here. Whatever the charge is applied on that, what is the percentage of tax that is mentioned over here? Okay, these two I'm not going into the detail because that is another session. But here I'm just trying to cover what is the FT product thing at the high level. So I'm just mentioning over here. Other detailed thing that we have to cover it in a separate session. Okay, so I'm not going to that much detail. Once you get the hands on, then once you launch the product screen, once you come to the product screen, and there only it's worth to spend time over there rather than giving the lecturer session. That will be better if you get into the practical session. So okay, I'm not getting into that. No. Vasant, I hope it's going well. Or you have any doubt? Any concerns?
Things are just normal, sir.
Okay.
All is good, sir.
Okay. We have covered the product maintenance. Now we'll go to the contract booking. Now contract booking. This is another screen. This is called the FTD Canon screen. This varies based on the version of application. Okay. But in this particular version, FTD Canon, just remember it or note it down. This is the screen name. And product preference FTD PRMNT, product definition. This is contract. So these two are the main screens where you will see the day to day. And just to run through because I have only the screen and I don't have a recording. That will get to know only when you get the environment in hand. Okay. So at high level, I'll tell you. First, in the top menu, you'll have a menu, new button. And if you press new button, it will ask you the product. You have to select from LOV. Once you select the product, then press the populate P button. Press populate. Then it will generate the contract reference number and what is the source, and it will user reference number is same, and booking date is nothing but the your transaction date. Source reference number, it will give you blank, you can key in or system can copy the same thing. Okay, this is at the high level. This is the header section we call this. So once you press the P button, system will generate the reference number, and system will default of source code as Flexcube. This is coming from the external system. That's why it shows the FCAT system. Because the same screen we have web services. Through web services, if something is booked, then that source code will come. The external system will send their source reference number. If I book from FlexCube, then this will say FlexCube, and this will have the same FlexCube reference number. User can put their own reference number, but system by default will put this reference number. But this cannot be modified. This and this can be modified. Meaning this cannot be modified, and this user can modify before saving the contract. And then here we have to select what is the currency of the transaction, and this is the credit. This is mainly our customer, and this is Nostro. This is the outgoing. This is Nostro. This is customer. And what value date this contract is initiated, and what is the credit value date. It can be different, and this has to be first, and this has to be next. It cannot be vice versa. Credit cannot happen before the debit. So that has to be, that is a very common thing. Either it can be same or debit can be backwardated. Debit can be less than the credit value date. And the spread, I will not go into the detail because you can always spread date actually. So this says what is the IBAN number of the credit account and debit account. And once you come bottom, then it has the here. Where is the amount? Okay, here this is the amount. Here we have taken the example of same currency, so that's why I'm seeing same amount in both place. If you select credit currency as different currency, then system will use the exchange rate. You would have seen the standard rate type, whatever the rate, then it allows you to modify the exchange rate also. You can modify the exchange rate only up to the variance, that percentage of variance, that 3%, 10 or 50% we have seen, right? Only up to that. And then there is an enrich button. Whenever you modify, then you have to press that enrich button so that system will fetch the as per the exchange rate, what is the credit amount, system will use it. So this is what we give it, and system will derive this based on the high level selection. And again, in this screen, there are multiple subscreens are there. These are again other important things. Once you book the contract, all these things you can visit and see. Events at the time of product definition, we have seen init book events. So those events will come over there. And don't worry about the charge claim, change log. We will not use this as of now. Settlement. Because you are booking these two contract over here. And then we have seen the charge component, VAT component. All those component will come in the settlement screen. There it will allow you to modify. If you want to charge, if you want to debit the main transaction from this account, and but you want to debit the charge from other account, those things can be done in the settlement screen. Message generation is, you will not. It is only for review purpose. Advice is also only for review purpose. Charges. We have seen three charges are associated with this particular product. If you want to waive any particular charge, you want to modify, you can modify it in this. Based on the tax will come. You cannot waive the taxes. MIS is again only for the information purpose, nothing else. Fields, as I told you, Flexcube is giving around 100 fields in the contract. If you want to introduce 101 field for additional purpose, only for information purpose, you can define in the UDF that the subsystems is there, and you can link it in the product. It will come over here. You can capture that particular information only for information purpose, nothing much. Okay, and these things are only for the view purpose. You will not process anything. So again, to reiterate. You will press the new button. You'll get product. You have to select the product code from LOB. Once you select, then press the P button. System will generate the reference number and source code. And then you select the debit currency and credit currency. Put the account amount to be debited. Select the account. And then when you press the enrich button, then system will derive the credit amount. And then system will try to derive the Nostro account. If you want to change the NAS token, you can change, and these are the accounting related thing. Now, same contract, uh, you have to see now the message generation part. Will try. No, what are the next options available? No. Once you in the second main screen only, we have done all the accounting related things. In party details, this will system will default what is the remitter data, remitter IBAN number, name, and address will come. And beneficiary here we have to key in because this is outside the bank. So system doesn't know. System we are user has to key in what is the beneficiary detail, country code, which country it goes under, and the remittance for the purpose of payment that he has to select. And this particular account is in which bank, that account institution has to be key in over here. This comes under party details. So this is again used for the message generation purpose, and this will go under governance. This is mainly used by all the regulatory point of view. This has to be PA. Okay, nothing to do with the Flexcube accounting related thing, but it is very sensitive when it comes to the message generation part. Okay. Now let us go to the other details screen. Other details we have already seen main and party details. In other details, this is something related to the accounting or contract related. We would have seen the preferences in the product preference. Based on the product preference, this will come over here. And here also you can change if you want to change the mechanic message as of and rate as of accounting as of. There's like in the main screen you have selected credit value date, debit value date. So based on that, this will work. When the advices has to be generated, when which rate has to be used, accounting when you want to post the accounting and all those things, and based on that system will show what is the date. Generally, we are not getting any issues, and now the system is matured in most of the banks, so nobody is going to use it. But when you are going to define a new product, when somebody is giving a new requirement on this, then that time only this will be used. You can get more detail in the Flexcube user manual. Okay, so that time it will, you can refer that. Here I'm just giving you at the high level. Okay. And then this information are only for viewing purpose. You don't need to change anything. That's it. And now let us jump to the next screen. Okay, here once you book the contract, save, then you want to see how the accounting entry is posted, which account is debited, then you will come to the events screen. It was there in the contract in the bottom event screen was there. When you click, this screen will open event details. In that you select the init event, and once you select init event and select accounting entries, this screen will open. Here you can see the debit account is used for the debit amount equivalent, and the same debit account is used for debiting the charges, and then a relevant VAT is posted here. So Similarly, if you scroll down, you will see the other entries for amount. Now this is amount equivalent, the debit leg, and credit leg will be there with the TFR amount with the Nostro account, and then credit leg of all these charges will be there. These are all interbranch GLs. Now you can ignore. These are interbranch GLs. And at the end of this training session, I have given the breakup of accounting entries. There we will see in detail. The same minute event, if you click on the messages, in the events only we are seeing this. So when you click on the messages screen, this will open. Here, see the customer transfer is the payment message is what associated over there, but here system is derived where this is customer transfer is 7103. Here message is generated. What is the message status? Message is generated and handed off to the Swift system. This is what it says. Debit address, these are ungenerated. Why these two debit messages? This is for the charges. This says whether it is generated or handed off. There is no underlying job running. That's why this says ungenerated. Otherwise, in production, it is always generated and handed off. Uh, this is the high level at the accounting and message. Now we'll see other subscreen. What is the use of other subscreens? Okay, if you want to see what are the charges, as I told you, like the charges button in the message, in the contract booking at the bottom, you will see the charges. When you click on this, this will open. Here you will see what is the charge, what are the charges applied on this particular contract. Here two charges applied, and AD cross, but this is waived. It was supposed to be applied, but this is waived. And then only these two charges are applied. And then this charge amount is zero, and only one charge is eventually applied effectively. This is what it says liquidated. So only this charge is applied effectively. Other two charges are waived here basically. Ideally, online FCA charges are usually used apply, but user has come and modified here to make the zero amount. That's what I can see. And then when I visit the tax, then underlying this, whatever the tax is applied, that will come over there. This is for the at the time of booking, you can come and modify, and then after booking, and if you want to see what are the charges applied, then you come out to the charges button and see. Here we'll see what are the accounting entries for this particular contract. If you go through, we have seen the when you look at the product, the accounting table, I will see that this is the module FT, and then this is the transaction reference number, what you have seen in the sorry. This is the transaction reference number that we queried in our previous slides. And when this is portrayed, this is the init event is there. And what are the accounts used? X-axis is the remitter account. The remitter account is debited for the transaction amount and charge. The 50 is debited, 50 equivalent. Then this is the exchange rate, and this is the transaction amount. This is the equivalent amount in AED. And we have seen in the charges tab, this 50 is debited. For 50 5% VAT, 2.5 AED is again debited from the remitter account. So remitter account here debited three times for the transaction, charge, and VAT. In my product preference, I told there is something called netting. They say netting all, then instead of three debit, only one debit will happen. 19770 when 13.7 plus 0.68. All together as a one debit will happen with 715. This particular transaction code will get used. If customer wants to see the breakup of all the debits, then we should not use the netting, so that customer will see, okay, 1,970 is the transaction amount, charge applied 13.7. For that charge, 0.068 is the VAT amount. So this is the breakup. These three entries is what debit customer will see in his statement. This 50 AED is debited from the customer and credited to the income GL. For this 50 AD, 2.5 AED is the charge. This is credited to the VAT input GL. And then this transaction amount is credited to the Nostro account. In our first slide, we have seen customer is debited from Washington, Wells Fargo, and credited to Citibank, right? So this is the Citibank, the account, beneficiary bank, Nostro account, which what this particular bank is having. So if I'm sending money to different bank, then this, even the currency is same, this account might differ. Okay. So, and then here I'm saying like when this particular transaction was booked and what is the value date of the transaction. See, this transaction was booked on 22nd January, but with the value date of 31st May 2024. I think somebody has booked for test, so that's why this much back validated. Otherwise, in general practical scenario, nobody will book this kind of back validated. Only within the current period or last 30 days only they will book. This is too much for testing. In testing environment, somebody might have booked like this. Okay. And that's it. This is the end of no, high level. What is the international outgoing fund transfer? Uh, Thank you. If you have any question, please shoot out. Asad, you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll just stop the recording.